Welcome to the show. My name is Bill, and this is Not Your Thoughts. Today, we're going to be talking anxiety. We'll talk evolutionary roots of anxiety, my personal experiences with anxiety, the fragmentation of your mind during an anxious state, what that has to do with childhood, and how is all of this linked to sleep paralysis demons. So, get comfortable. Please do leave a comment. Give me your thoughts on the matter. Tell me what you do to prevent yourself being anxious or what you do in an anxious state. If you leave a comment, I will reply. If you leave a comment, I will reply. So please keep that in mind and the notification bell below. So I hope you enjoy. All right. There's no one here. There is nobody here. There is nobody listening. What do I want to say? What is the point of anything? Why am I anxious? I am anxious because I have a fear of being abandoned. And the reason I think I'll be abandoned is if I reveal my true self, there is a dirtiness or an ugliness that comes with it. As I speak, I feel my perspiration and face heat up, and I'm getting anxious. If I were alone, I would not feel that. But it's because I know there's an observation and that I might actually post this. The heat arises. So something about anxiety in the modern sense, I think, is coming from a place for me of a fear of judgment, but more so a fear of social ostracization. So alienation, getting pushed out, getting abandoned. Somewhere along the line in our childhood, you might have asked the wrong question, said the wrong thing, had the incorrect curiosity, and were punished for being a child. I think that's when anxiety starts. Or you could have indirectly made an assumption of what you think might happen and built an identity and shame and fear around a perception. We understand that anxiety has evolutionary and beneficial roots. If I'm anxious about the future, I can act on it now. So instead of dying in the future, I will, symbolically and metaphorically have a death or an awakening, and something can change before I die in the future. You can make predictions for the future. So anxiety has its place, but no news here. In the modern world, you just saw I'm sitting by myself, and thank you for being here. If you're here, I'm sitting by myself, letting my thoughts flow, and my body just heated up, and I had a reaction. So I think anxiety is a beautiful thing when done appropriate, but obviously maladaptive in our modern world. Now, when I do enter an anxious state, which is often, I kind of notice a split in my identity. So it's almost as though obviously we're conscious. There's an observer, and we're in the body that we're observing. But when entering an anxious state, correct me if I'm wrong, please leave in the comments what your experience is with anxiety. But when I feel anxious, I just detach, and I feel my body about to respond to an anxiety. For me, it feels like judgment. I get very scared of judgment, and I get very scared of eyes. The irony of having two cameras and putting my face on the internet, I do see it. But I think that comes from a place of wanting to have a controlled, perspective of myself. So it's almost a bit of a exposure therapy with the cameras. But where was I going with that? Fuck. Bro, I was going to hit bangers. I was on the motherfucking thought train. we were popping off. We were talking anxiety. We were saying things. I was saying words, and they had meaning, and they were forming a structure. But here we are. This is the content. This is it, mama. We made it. Mama, when I am feeling anxious, most of my anxiety comes from perceived judgment, what I think judgment is, and therefore I judge myself. But who's the me doing the judging if I'm the me being judged? Who's the me that is saying, oh my God, I'm about to start sweating, when I'm the one who's starting to sweat? How can I tell myself to not be anxious when my body is being anxious? I find this tension, this kind of split of identity within ourselves during an anxious state, incredibly interesting. Interesting. And as we know, saying just don't be anxious, bro, it doesn't work. What I have been told is when you are in a state of anxiety, you're almost in the most narcissistic state you can be. It's all about me. I feel anxious. The world's looking at me. Oh, look at my suffering. I'm in so much pain. Help me, please. This isn't a joke. Please help. No, I'm not joking. But when we are in that state of anxiety, it is about yourself. So what I've been told to counteract that is to literally externalize and project your attention outwards. Start looking, it's like a mindfulness almost exercise. Start looking at colors. I personally, when I'm anxious, fuck me, I just like throw my questions on the individual. And I'm like, what do you think about that? How about you? What about you? And because I feel like if I'm revealing myself too much, I don't want the ugliness to show. So in a state of anxiety, externalizing your attention can actually be beneficial. I still don't know, again, help me, internet, what to do when a panic is coming on. What do we do about that? I think a powerful antidote to these feelings and fears of anxiety is humor. If you can laugh at your situation, if you can laugh at yourself, at the absurdity of the fact that we're even alive, the fact that we see color, if we can begin to laugh at these things, and as I mentioned earlier, when you're anxious, you're in your most almost narcissistic state. It is all about yourself, even when it's really not. If you can laugh at yourself in that moment, I think personally, it hasn't ever got rid of my panic mode, but it at least lets me re-establish the relationship with myself so that it's me and me versus the anxiety, as opposed to feeling like I'm battling with myself. I don't know if that dissonance is healthy because I might be creating a further separation within my internal state. But when I can feel my psyche split and my body starts heating up and I'm having anxious thoughts, but I'm also there telling myself to not be anxious, and I'm just oscillating between these modes of being, I think humor is usually a massive antidote at the situation, and to remind yourself that no one cares about you. No one cares. This is a message to me. This is a message, Bill, if you're rewatching this while you edit, or to whoever may be listening. Nobody fucking cares. Charlie Kirk, the Queen. Like, it really is liberating when we remember that nobody cares, and afterlife or not, in 2 generations, you will not be remembered. Nothing matters. Holy guacamole, nothing matters. Nah, okay. So there is obviously an existentialism and fear behind that. But I find that a liberating thought. I do find it a liberating thought. So I haven't overcome my anxiety and my panic attacks. I don't want to call them panic attacks, but when I start to panic and I feel like I'm being attacked. Another way anxiety can manifest itself, at least in my experience, has been through sleep paralysis. Now, I have a very interesting and familiar relationship with sleep paralysis. During certain periods of my life, it became very reoccurring. I had a lot of moments where I thought that I knew when it was going to occur based on the air in the room. And most of the times I was right. But what I think I learned was every time I thought I knew it was going to happen, I was most likely already in the sleep paralysis, thinking I thought I knew that it was going to happen. With sleep paralysis, there's cultural motifs like demons that seem to occur across cultures and across time as well. The reason this is relevant here is because I believe sleep paralysis is just a form of anxiety or panic during sleep. My worst sleep paralysis experience was one time I was experiencing an immense amount of pressure on my chest, thinking I'm awake in my room. I felt my hands and my legs, we're talking Patrick Star, pulled every angle. I don't know what it was, but a force grabbing my teeth and ripping my head back, fully pulling my face back, almost folding me. Pretzel. We're talking back snap. The crazy part was you can't actually experience pain, but there's a odd feeling of pressure. I remember this thing as it was pulling my teeth back, my face back, wanting me to look at it. And I was resisting. I was pushing away as hard as I can. I just couldn't bear to see what this thing was that was about to rip my head off. There was a moment where I conceded. I said, fine, show me. What are you? This has been going for too long. Who are you? I didn't have all those thoughts in the moment, but it was something like that. I was kind of trying to say that. I was like, but I did want to eventually see this thing. And I guess the insane thing is, or the lesson I learned is the moment I accepted it, the moment I stopped being scared of what it might be and allowed myself to look into it, vanished. It completely disappeared. It completely disappeared. And I think this is the perfect analogy or metaphor for anxiety itself. I do believe sleep paralysis is a form of anxiety, and anxiety itself has a hold over you in the fear of anxiety, more so than the anxiety itself. It's almost like a vacuum. Can you have anxiety without a subject? Can you have time without the universe? I don't know. But with anxiety, there has to be a subject for you to attach your fears to within that anxiety. So the moment I released myself and allowed myself to flow and be and look at, the demon disappeared. And I truly believe, I don't think I've seen those demons since then. They really did stop, although I do still feel anxious. But a major lesson was learned during that whole experience. So when it comes to being anxious, I think first step is having a honest talk and relationship with yourself to identify what it is you think you fear most. We all know what we're scared of. We all have fears, and we all know a big part of our journey is about looking directly into the eye and facing those fears. That's usually where we'll find our path. At least anxiety is a good measure. Imagine we didn't have anxiety or fear. Imagine we truly were just kind of bouncing through. Uh, This sounds like the biggest cope for being an anxious person, but I can almost appreciate that my anxiety gives me a direct metric to know when I'm in a state of fear. And I know the things that make me anxious are the things I need to face. So I'm really trying to negotiate with my anxiety if it's hiding in there, like we're cool, bro, we're fine. But it is a good thing in that sense. So I think anxiety, yeah, gives us vision, gives us insight into ourselves. For me, it helps me see that you really are not your thoughts. In a state of anxiety, the way my own mind fragments, and I don't know which version of me is observing the other version, I think is a very key part of anxiety. Again, it's a doorway into the childhood self. Our first experience with being anxious is one that comes from abandonment as a kid or the fear of it. So I think in terms of anxiety, as a society, we're all a lot more anxious than we ever have been. But maybe we can reframe it and use it as a tool to see inwards what it is we're fearing most and where it is we need to head, what direction. So I hope this was somewhat valuable. I found this quite valuable, just speaking my thoughts and getting it out. So please, if you've made it this far, leave a comment. Tell me what you'd like me to talk about next. Tell me what makes you anxious or any tools that you have when you're feeling anxious. What do you do about it? And is there something you can teach me? So comment, like, subscribe. The notification bell is important. So please hit the notification bell as well. And I will see you in the next video. Peace.